The donor's voice is calm, almost rehearsed. If those deals aren't cleared by Friday, pull my 7-figure pledge. In compliance, 3 contracts glow red. Not cleared, and payroll is due in 72 hours. Coaches tap refresh on NIL Go. More than $11 million in pending approvals sit frozen. IRS emails land about a 501c3 status review. Across town, a freshman starter asks if his appearance fee is real or just a promise. Here's the tension. Who goes broke first? The collectives writing checks or the athletic departments left with the fallout? Stay with me. We'll show the playbook that survives this. To understand the bleeding, we have to follow the money. Athletic directors used to track one big river, annual fund gifts flowing into operations, scholarships, and non-revenue sports. Now there's a second river, faster and louder, collective dollars. And a lot of it isn't new water. It's the same donors. Diverted, that's the donor cannibalization rate. How much of what used to go to the department now sits in a collective earmarked for player payments? June 2025 blew the doors off. Collectives blasted out offers ahead of the July 1 revenue sharing cap, and payments surged 824% year over year. Schools burned through as much as half their annual compensation budgets in a few frenetic weeks. It looked bold. It was actually fragile. Front-loaded promises met thin bank balances. Here's the metric that scares operators: the commitment to cash ratio. If a collective has $12 million in announced annual value but only $5 million actually in the bank, that gap is a liability disguised as hype. Athletes hear the top-line number. Payroll teams see the shortfall. Then the NIL Go clearinghouse starts flagging deals for fair market value issues, missing documentation, or invalid business purpose. The payments stall. Morale dips. Microstory. A booster at a blue blood program takes a breakfast call after a third straight road loss. He's committed 7 figures to help land a transfer class. Between bites of eggs, he pauses his pledge. Let's see how we finish. By lunch, staff are shuffling which appearance fees to prioritize. By dinner, coaches are reassuring starters that the money's coming. It isn't, not yet. And $11 million across the ecosystem is sitting in pending status as the CSC asks for resubmits, corrections, and proof of value. Meanwhile, donor fatigue creeps in. The annual cash burn rate at some collectives runs 90% of their $10 million targets. That's a startup's runway with a college booster's patience. When wins don't follow, the narrative shifts. The same donor who funded a locker room upgrade last year now wants every dollar going to the roster. The swim team's travel budget tightens. Training room hires get deferred. Recruiting expectations escalate because last month's deal became this month's baseline. And here's the kicker: the NIL Go system doesn't retroactively bless those front-loaded June promises. Deloitte's oversight screens for fair market value today. Yesterday's aggressive deals live in a gray zone. Some will be reworked, some will die. All of it chips away at trust inside the building. While the top of the pyramid chases 5 stars with cash, the base starts to crack. And while money pours out fast, a different kind of bill is coming due, one you can't defer with a phone call. The law doesn't care about your depth chart. Title IX looks at proportionality and equal opportunity. And now there's a new wrinkle. Direct revenue sharing lives alongside third-party NIL money. If the collective universe concentrates support almost entirely in men's revenue sports, while the department amplifies those deals with institutional promotion, the exposure grows. Think about the Oregon context and the scrutiny it sparked. Whether in court filings or public pressure, the argument keeps circling the same point. If your ecosystem taken together advantages one gender in compensation and promotional support, you're out of balance. Even if the collective is independent, auditors and regulators may see functional integration, shared messaging, coordinated appearances, booster alignment, staff overlap. What looked like separation starts to read like a single system. Here's the metric lens. Title IX liability exposure. It's not a line item on anyone's current budget, but it should be. If women's teams can show they're denied comparable NIL promotion or institutional support, you're staring at potential settlements, consent decrees, and mandated remedial spending. That means more money for marketing, guaranteed appearance opportunities, and potentially direct reallocations from facilities or staff lines to meet proportionality goals. Losing federal funds is the nuclear scenario. Most departments will settle or restructure long before that. Either way, it's unplanned cash out the door. Micro story: a women's program star watches a collective-sponsored campaign roll out for the men's team. Billboards, car dealer posts, school accounts reposting. Her equivalent deal never gets the same push. Mid-season, University Council alerts the AD. The pattern, if true, triggers compliance risk. Now the department scrambles to stand up a parallel promotional calendar, reallocate media bandwidth, and nudge the collective toward proportional support. That takes money. It also takes coordination that wasn't built into the model. Complication: the separation doctrine. Schools argue the collective isn't them, but once you're cross-promoting athletes tied to collective deals or using staff to facilitate appearances, the wall looks thin. Auditors don't need a memo of control, they look for practice and effect. Meanwhile, revenue-sharing caps force hard choices inside the department. Shrinking margin for error. Compliance pressure squeezes from one side while NIL go skepticism squeezes from the other. And as money and time get redirected to fix exposure, the cracks in governance widen under real financial stress. This is where promises meet paper. On a mid-major trying to swing above its weight, the collective sold a vision. Multi-year deals, appearance fees, built-in community impact work. On signing day, they posted the numbers. The bank account didn't match the graphics. Payroll staggered, then slipped. A star guard hit the portal by February, citing uncertainty. The locker room fractured over who actually got paid. Stakes escalate fast when the model leans on inducements. NCAA staff start asking questions. Local reporters sniff around unpaid invoices. The compliance office, desperate to show separation, digs through files and finds a side letter, an informal make-whole clause, promising to cover any shortfall from future fundraising. That's not a marketing contract, that reads like pay-for-play. Now you've got two problems, a contract the collective can't fund, and a document that invites sanction. Here's the metric lens: athlete contract clawback and buyout obligations. If 3 deals include guarantees that trigger on transfer, injury, or disciplinary gray areas, the collective carries contingent liabilities it never modeled. Add legal defense costs when athletes claim breach. Layer in PR damage when the story becomes, they didn't pay. When NIL Go says 70% of past collective payments would have been denied under today's standard, it's a reckoning. Those deals have to be reworked or voided. Either way, leverage shifts away from coaches. Impact cascades. Coaches lose recruiting credibility. Every pitch is met with, will it actually clear? Donors retreat or demand control clauses the staff won't accept. Campus leadership distances itself publicly to protect accreditation and federal aid. Meanwhile, the IRS reviews a once 501c3 collective after the chief counsel memo made clear most failed the operational test. Revocation brings back taxes and penalties. Directors and officers insurance carriers ask hard questions about governance, disclosures, and who approved what. Microstory, a compliance officer flips through a PDF and stops cold. The side letter includes a personal assurance from a board member to bridge payments. No formal board vote, no escrow. The athlete's lawyer cites it and demands a 6-figure buyout. To avoid discovery, the collective settles. It's cash they don't have, pushed onto a donor already fatigued by the season. With risk on all sides, the pattern is obvious. You can't outraise bad structure. Survival depends on control, not cash alone. Careers now hinge on governance more than hustle. Fundraising matters, but only inside a system that can survive audits, revenue caps, and human error. The principle is simple: control the system that controls the money. Start with institutionalized governance. Bring the collective into a formal framework, a memorandum of understanding that gives your AD and compliance a voting seat, plus veto power on budgets and contracts that create institutional risk. It's not operational takeover, it's risk control. Standardized term sheets require NIL Go pre-clearance before any public announcement and forbid side letters. If it isn't in the main agreement, it doesn't exist. Segment donors to stop cannibalization. Tier 1 is NIL retention and recruiting, short cycle dollars with high scrutiny. Tier 2 is athletic operations, women's sports budgets, training, academics. Tier 3 is capital and endowment, future-proofing money. Publish those buckets. Let donors pick lanes without starving the department. Track a donor cannibalization rate monthly and adjust your appeals accordingly. Move money with guardrails. Adopt vesting and escrow. Pay for performance with academic year milestones, community deliverables, and retention triggers. Funds are deposited to escrow at signing, not promised on a slide. That stabilizes the commitment to cash ratio and lowers buyout shock. If a deal can't be fully funded into escrow, the contract scales down or waits. Treat Title IX like a quarterly audit, not a headline risk. Require the collective to commission an independent annual proportionality review. Promotional support, appearance slots, and paid activations by gender and sport. Build a corrective plan with timelines and dollars attached. Align department promotion calendars so institutional amplification doesn't skew support. Execution is discipline. No press releases before NIL go clearance. Centralized escrow administration so payouts don't hinge on a donor wire. A red line ban on make whole language. Roster the legal team early to template indemnities and dispute processes. The payoff, steadier commitment to cash, fewer buyouts, donors who trust the process, and non-revenue sports protected from silent cuts. Bring it home to recruiting. Control lets you promise less and deliver every time. When money outruns governance, athletic departments, not collectives, absorb the damage through compliance costs, donor cannibalization, and reputational hits that choke future revenue. If you want executive-level playbooks that protect programs and decode the next NIL rule twist, subscribe and turn on alerts. Then watch our follow-up on how schools are rewriting contracts, escrow structures, and promotion plans to stay solvent under revenue sharing.